Happy birthday, Brian. Or maybe you haven't had time to check all of your sporting apps as yet. Very busy sporting weekend indeed. In the world of sports, from Super Rugby, the semi-finals, some thrillers there as well. The Africa Cup of Nations, Bafana get their first win. To look at the highs and lows of every match on the grass thus far, we also going to preview what's coming up this week at the start of the most prestigious and oldest tennis tournament in the world, Wimbledon. Who are the favourites? To share his views and expert opinion on all the weekend sporting action and results, it is Sports Anchor Nick Archibald. Dude, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Buddy, I've loved our chat already. I've kind of been divulging a huge amount. Really interesting weekend. Let's start with our Super Rugby semi-finals with probably the more surprising result of the two, 39-7 to the Jaguares. That is crazy to me that this team, they were the whipping boys 3 seasons ago. The Brumbies seemed like one of the strongest outfits, certainly the strongest Australian team. Or they not seem like they were. But is it that difficult to go and play on the Jaguars' home turf?
Well, clearly. I mean, if you look throughout Super Rugby, the Buenos Aires has always been somewhat of a fortress.
And it's 30,000. It's not like the biggest stadium, but they pack a punch, man.
No, 100%. I think in terms of structure, really, they play much like the Argentinian national side. Fast, quick, expansive rugby, hard up front. But the Brumbies just weren't there, really.
With the real Brumbies, please stand up. You say they play like the Argentinian national team because they pretty much are the Argentinian.
Well, I'm not going to say too much on that one. But
no, but they've used what Super Rugby is all about to such great effect in a World Cup build-up. If you think about the 4-year cycle building towards this World Cup, how strong is Argentina going to be as a result of how well this team is playing and how they've cracked that code, as opposed to Japan, how they've missed the opportunity, even hosting a World Cup, to see the Sunwolves progress in a way that kind of had any gravitas.
No, 100%. I think the Argentinian side, you have your De La Fuentes, you have your Emilio Boffelli, you have the high-class players that are really going to run expansive rugby in this year's World Cup. So they have a base, they have the players, they have massive boys up front, quick boys out wide, so...
So congratulations to the Jaguares. They are in their first Super Rugby final, which is incredible.
Who would have thought, really?
They'll face only just the most successful team in all of Super Rugby and in the world, who just snuck through, it must be said, in what could have been a final. The Crusaders up against the Hurricanes, 30-26, very much two halves. And I know we say it's often a game of two halves, but this really was all Crusaders, but the Canes managed to weather that storm, and it was all the Canes in the second half. It was such an amazing trial for the All Black team.
No, exactly. I think Steve Hansen is sitting back going, well, he has another World Cup on the way, to be honest with you. I think most importantly, it's Beauden Barrett versus Richie Mo'unga, and I think that you wanted to be in the final.
Who's your man? Who would you go through? I mean, Richie Mo'unga, for me, has grown in leaps and bounds. You know what you're going to get with Beauden. But for me, Richie has just got dimensions, you know?
Oh, he's so wonderful. He just grabs the ball, and something's always happening when he does have the ball. But I think what strengthens Beauden Barrett's case, the fact that TJ Perenara is in unbelievable form at the moment for the Hurricanes.
The ball dropper, you mean? The knocker-honorer.
Careful. But he really is. I mean, that try that Ben Lamb scored in the corner, straight off the mark in the second half. He has the awareness. The ball dribbles out of the ruck.
He's a terrier
he finds
as well.
it.
Yeah.
He throws a little chicken wing, and Ben Lamb is in the corner.
We're going to get into the cricket in just a moment. I've just got to ask you one very important question. Can Bafana, and you give me one word answer, can Bafana beat Morocco after having beaten Namibia?
Sure, you're putting me on the spot, Jack. I'm not sure. If I'm honest with you, I think our defensive voice showed against Namibia.
Yeah.
We did score. We scored a fantastic goal. Bongani Zungu really found himself in great space. Percy Tau, obviously, being Percy Tau. But, a couple of defensive woes. We had that little spill and nearly a goal. On a different day, it would have been 2-1, maybe 1-1.
Yep, well, we're going to delve a little deeper into more of the weekend sports. Chira's here to talk Formula One, and of course, we are going to delve into the Proteas' meaningless performance against Sri Lanka. Excuse my acetone, but that's what went down this weekend in sport.